Bars with Paul Rosen.
Our diets, our Western diets in America are just really, you just don't realize how poor they really are.
What would you say to others who would like to feel better?
Sometimes you need to find the instruction. That's where the testing and everything comes in, because without that knowledge, there's no way I could have got to the point where I'm at today.
Straight talk about health.
And then I start preaching and telling them what I've been doing. And this guy named Paul Rosen has changed my life.
With your host, Paul Rosen.
By the way, the information contained in this program is not approved by the FDA, nor intended to treat, diagnose, or claim to cure any medical condition or disease as defined by Western medicine. However, skilled practitioners of many disciplines have found nutrition response testing to be a highly reliable supportive technology for assessing the health and fitness of the body's functional system.
And shall we just sort of slide into energy bars?
We can slide into energy bars because it does relate maybe even to our discussion about athletes.
It does.
I think many athletes or guys who just consider themselves healthy, I see people at my gym all the time, men and women, who are up there chomping on these energy bars, usually before they have a workout. I think it's to load themselves up on proteins and carbs, they believe, that will help them have a better workout.
It's true. And protein bars, you know, in general, the snack bars are really nothing more than a candy bar. and if you look at the ingredients, all you have to do is, I mean, you know, and I'm not picking on these particular names, but they're just you know, kind of out there. The Boulder bar, the Source bar, the Power bar, Biozone bar. I mean, if you look at the first ingredient, they're all sugar. If the sugar doesn't come from high fructose corn syrup, it comes from fruit.
And also, some of these bars will have more sugar than a candy bar that you would assume would not necessarily be good for you. That Snickers bar may be delicious, but even people who love their Snickers know it's not necessarily doing their health any good. The protein bar may be even worse for that reason alone, having more sugar than, say, a Snickers.
Yeah, I mean, we don't really even need to go there. It certainly can be worse because if they contain trans fats, for example, we all know now that, well, we knew for decades, but even the federal government has now banned them from foods. So, the snack bars can contain stuffs, food-like stuffs that are absolutely more harmful than just the sugar alone.
And also, we'll get back to that momentarily, but these things are sometimes expensive. You can spend a few bucks on an energy bar of some kind.
Indeed. And most of the ingredients are the offloaded refuse from food production, and they end up in these bars.
Refuse, like what? What do you mean?
Like the soy lecithin, you know, comes from the soy processing industry. It's just throwaway garbage.
So these things go right into these energy bars, which I assume are marketed to both people who are, say, working out or to athletes, and I think to the rank and file, too, those of us who aren't necessarily either of those things, gym rats or athletes. We're just somebody looking for a quick boost, or we've even convinced ourselves that power bars are like health food.
Yeah, which they are nothing. They don't even come close. The advent of cheap protein really became the backbone of energy bars, because that was a way to to put on the ingredients. There's protein in these things. Most of the protein comes from soy and whey, and both of which are the soy protein comes with this initial burden of a lot of anti-nutrients like phytic acid and enzyme inhibitors and those types of things, and the protein itself, the source of it. The soy is processed at very high temperatures in order to reduce the anti-nutrients, but they also destroy the nature of the protein itself. So basically, it's useless. It's the soy protein, is harmful in so many ways. Not to mention the fact that it's hardly available bioavailable to the body in the first place.
So to say it's useless, it's much worse than that. You're actually harming yourself with all this sugar and all this false protein, right?
Absolutely. Take out a thyroid and in no time.
Protein bars are just pretty much a hack, a scam.
The other protein besides soy protein, which you often find in these, is whey protein. And whey protein is inherently a fragile protein and must be processed at very low temperatures. Otherwise, you destroy the nutrient qualities of the protein. And that's why casein, rather than the whey protein, is used in animal chow, right? But today, because of the need for great quantities, the industry, the whey industry basically uses, they take drying skim milk and whey at high temperatures. So that basically undermines the quality of the protein in these bars. So
I guess that's what most amazes me, Paul, is that these protein bars not only are just, negligible in terms of our health, they may actually be doing us harm.
Yeah. And the natural fiber that's contained in these things often comes from the end product of juicing fruits.
Back to that thing, too, the whole juicing issue. So that relates directly to protein bars, as it turns out also.
As it turns out.
And in the process of juicing or preparing these foods for the protein bars, I guess you're diluting whatever positive impact they may have?
Yep. Yeah,
Okay.
and the notion that you can say to yourself, well, gee, most of the ingredients may be not so good, but there are some in there that are good. Don't go there.
In terms of some power bars.
That's the old, moderation argument in different clothes, and it doesn't wash and it doesn't work. If a food has ingredients that undermine your health, regardless of what additional ingredients there might be in it, then you're just kidding yourself.
Well, there's nothing moderate about this, though, Paul. Some of these protein bars include up to 56 listed ingredients. 56. You're getting almost 5 dozen listed ingredients on that power bar alone, and many of those will be specifically unhealthy, like sugar.
If you want a quick snack, which is comprised of healthy ingredients, nuts, cheeses, hard sausages, but make sure that all the ingredients comply with those that I've shared with all of you over and over and over. Make sure that the dairy is raw. Make sure it comes from grass-fed animals. Make sure there's no genetically modified feeds that are used. That's true for the meats as well. Grass-fed, no hormones, no antibiotics, no GMO feeds. And there are these foods out there. They're available. We're lucky. They're everywhere.
You can snack on all those things, or maybe, too, you can create trail mixes and that kind of stuff, and your website has information about that kind of thing. Is that correct?
It does. Nuts, cheeses, and dried meats are perfect snacks and will get you all the energy you need without the downside.
By dried meats, you don't mean jerky or something like that, or do you?
Yeah, I mean, in the Native American Indians, pemmican. Pemmican is a dried meat, along with rendered fat. They'd last for quite some time.
And they're good and healthy, and certainly will be much healthier than a protein bar.
Light years. I mean, it's not even in the same universe.
Would that even work then in terms of a workout? I know I've focused on that quite a bit, but again, I see a lot of people at my gym where I go on a regular basis trying to maintain something resembling fitness. I see a lot of people just chewing down these power bars, and they're religious about it. They are absolutely convinced that these things are helping them have better workouts.
There's no accounting for misinformation.
It's going to be a tough sell for me, though, to walk in there with some pemmican and say, hey, guys, this is better for you.
There's a lot more money in selling power bars than selling pemmican.
Well, and I think that's a point to be made, too. I think we have been sold a bill of goods in terms of power bars. We've been told that they are good for our health in general and good for an energy boost, much like energy drinks.
Now, somebody might argue, well, what about if all these ingredients are organic and they meet the non-GMO and grass-fed whatnot, in an energy bar, but they have all of the fruit sugar in there? And I would say, stay away, stay away, stay away.
Yeah, and I think that's always an ingredient in these energy bars. If there are those out there that are non-sugar, I'm not aware of them.
I mean, I help my people who are extremely active and who work out, even some athletes, professional athletes, and basically put together using very accurate techniques, putting together the types of foods that they could include in a drink of some sort. Vegetables and protein and whatnot, and that works out extremely well for them. But it's not an energy bar, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I don't think anybody really, I don't know. I think intellectually we know it's a candy bar. I just think there's been this great, big, massive national rationalization that this thing, when you open it up, and I've tried these things, Paul, when you open them up, they often just look like a great big chocolate bar, and you know what? That's exactly what they are.
Mm-hmm. You can put together ground nuts. You can add coconut or palm oil, organic, of course. Butter oil is another fat that should be included there. And low-temperature dried animal protein will satisfy any taste and nutrient dense, convenient travel food.
And by that, low-temperature dried animal protein, are you referring to meat in particular, like dried meat? So you mentioned pemmican, and I said jerky jokingly, but I guess maybe that's not such a bad thing either.
But yeah, that's another kind of, you have to look closely at the ingredients, and most jerkies, that are sold also have tons of ingredients.
Yeah, I suspect there's
no human being should consume.
Yeah, there's a lot of processing going on. Like every other food, I think you have to look for those which are produced properly, right?
Indeed.
Okay.
Extremely important.
I'm sure those are available. I'll bet you could go to a health food store and find exactly what you're talking about, various kinds of jerkies that are produced in a healthy way, or other dried meats, which may not technically be jerky, but there is something that provides a much better snack than that energy bar you may be considering.
Yeah. Yeah, just save your money.
That's the way you
save
should
your
be
health.
going. Yeah, and I think that's the important point most of all. You can use these things artfully, use them wisely. By these things, I mean the dried meats and whatnot, not the energy bars, and, help your general health.
Yeah, point of the discussion is just open your eyes, recognize that there is nothing about these protein bars that is getting you what you think you're getting, only to undermine your health by including, too much sugar and or other ingredients that have degenerative effects.
So that person having a Red Bull and a power bar and thinking, well, I'm giving myself a boost and plus I'm improving my health, they're probably half right. They are giving themselves a boost, but it's a very unhealthy one. Is that right?
Yeah.
Do I have that right?
Yeah.
Again, avoid these things. There are many, many varieties, too. When you say energy bar or protein bar, you're talking about a massive amount of goods out there.
It's a billion-dollar industry.
Yeah, it sure is. And it relates directly to fitness and health. That's kind of what's insidious about it. It's been marketed that way as being good for you when it clearly is
and
not.
All kinds of the language, natural and healthy and, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It just seems very appealing, as does it, and especially appeals to our convenience, Gene.
So avoid them.
Because it's so easy. You don't have to do anything. All you have to do is pull the wrapper and you're there.
Stay away, even if they're convenient, even if you've been told they're healthy, they're not. One more note, you can get a free chapter of Paul Rosen's book, The Missing Piece. Just go to his website, acunatural.com, acunatural.com, and fill out the dialog box that pops up. Rest assured, no information you provide will ever be shared with anyone else. So, what are you waiting for? Get going on your personal road to wellness today.